Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. We are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Mitch Moss, Pauly Howard with you here on a Wednesday. In 30 minutes, Matt Youmans on the program. We'll get his best bets for tonight and this week. Mike Palm was just in studio, and I would highly suggest that if you are just tuning in right now and you missed today's edition of You Cannot Be Serious, he ran down the history of the Minnesota Vikings in the playoffs and how ugly it has been. Go back to the VSiN app, the VSiN Watch app on your phone, and either watch or listen to it when you have some time. It was fantastic. And again, if you don't have the app, you can get it on Google Play or the Apple App Store now. Again, it's called the VSiN Watch app. Did that sting?
Oh, yeah.
As somebody who grew up in that area?
Terrible. 98 was so... I can't watch the game. Even you see it on YouTube or highlights.
Did you ever go back to watch the game?
Yeah. The other thing he didn't mention, before the kick, on that drive, the crowd is chanting Super Bowl, Super Bowl.
Before Anderson came out and missed the kick.
Before Anderson missed the kick. The crowd is chanting Super Bowl because, again, this team's 15-1. The loss was by, I think, 3 points.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. They had the points record. They couldn't be stopped. They're just, okay, we're just going to run the clock out or score and go up 10, and that'll do it. And the crowd's chanting Super Bowl, and the guy who was perfect misses it. That's another one.
I remember, I'm not even a Vikings fan. In fact, when I grew up, when I was younger, I hated that team. As I've grown out of that as I've gotten older, don't care anymore, but I remember where I was watching that game.
I couldn't believe it.
By myself on the couch at a house that I was sharing with like a couple other guys.
God, I forgot the sequence before halftime. So that's why he got killed after the game. Green. It was, why are you getting aggressive up 20-7, going to the locker room with the lead, fumble, leads to a touchdown. Then he took a knee with 30 seconds left.
That doesn't make any sense.
To go to overtime.
Would any coach take a knee today with that kind of an offense?
Forget it. Yeah.
You can win a game. Again, the Chiefs won the game with 13 seconds a couple years ago.
You had Randy Moss. Just throw it up deep.
Okay, I will say this.
But
no, that's all-time kick to the stomach. I think for any team, any franchise, any sport. I will say fast forward to 10 years, to 2009, I think the manner in which the Vikings lost in New Orleans, and then you found out they had the bounty gate on Brett Favre, Did you ever go back and watch that game?
No, I want to look at the box score. I want to say they had 5 turnovers.
This is just from how I recall watching the game. They killed the Saints. Destroyed the Saints that game.
I think Peterson fumbled in the red zone a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought I had the Vikings as the highest power rated team. I thought they were winning the Super Bowl that year.
Right.
So the Falcons' loss is, you can't touch that one. But to lose to the Saints like they did, it's kind of like right behind it.
Yeah.
But that tells you how painful it's been now.
And to tie it into the email we received earlier, ftm@vsin.com from Travis Kern, cut them out of your life. They can go hurt someone else. And I'm in my mid-30s. I don't have a recollection of the Cowboys Super Bowl or NFC title games. I've grown up having the entire sports world tell me how much this organization stinks. I can't experience the benefits. I don't have the benefits of experience a winning team.
Yeah,
and it would decide my mood and week based on how the team did on Sunday. Cut the Vikings out of your life. Cut Jerry Jones and the Cowboys out of your life if you're a fan. And the last straw, though, for me was, they traded Randy Moss in the prime of his career because Dante Culpepper and Matt Burke said he was a problem in the locker room. After the hiatus, is that the
straight cash,
detour.
homie?
After the detour in Oakland, he then went to New England, and they were one play away from going undefeated, and he had like 24 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just
best season of all time by a
laughable.
receiver. He was washed up, though, and a problem in the locker room. Can't have that around.
And Dante Culpepper's career ended as a result, too.
Yeah.
Because every quarterback he ever played with had ridiculous numbers. Even like Todd Bauman, who I went to college with at St. Cloud State, Gus Frerotte. It didn't matter. Everybody was going to put numbers up with the guy.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way it goes when you're a young sports fan, right? You get so emotionally invested in these teams that you are living and dying with them. We have a buddy whose brother, after the Bills lost on Scott Norwood's field goal, locked himself in the bathroom for a week. Would not come out, never went to school, was just completely demoralized.
The other three, they were at least blown out.
Yeah.
At least helped the case. I know. So that was excellent, and it was hard to listen to that. But then again, you're right. When you knew they lost Sunday night in Detroit, you knew what was going to happen on Monday night.
Okay.
But it could get worse, though. Now, this is break. Well, it's interesting. So Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, just tweeted. Did you have more?
I was going to ask you about Darnold's next team now. The odds are out here quickly.
Yeah.
Because Steelers are 5-1. Like the Raiders are 11-2. The Saints are 6-1. The Giants are on the list.
Boy, this is wild.
You're going to lose that bet now to Mike Palm.
Probably, I know. You can't bring him back. It's like they were saying on the broadcast. Not only Buck and Aikman, but Paul Allen. Get rid of the ball.
Right.
Throw the ball. 9 sacks. Same thing against Detroit in the Sunday night game. Unsure of himself.
If McCarthy's healthy, they're not going to bring him back.
Yeah, but now where does he wind up, though? I know this is a hound's breakfast. I don't know what Pittsburgh's going to do. He's got to go somewhere, but just because all these... Now, Watson's done in Cleveland. He ruptured the Achilles again. What was he doing on the beach, right? But so there's another tortured fan base, although that turned out to be a positive. Get out from under that contract. But he's going to wind up somewhere because of all these options or lack thereof in terms of these teams that don't have a quarterback.
Somebody is going to sign him. He's going to land somewhere. But I will tell you again, like how many of these spots are going to have a head coach and how many of these teams are going to have weapons like he had in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Like, if he goes to Pittsburgh and Arthur Smith is still the OC, Mike Tomlin's the head coach with their weapons, it won't work. He goes to the Raiders, comes out here. Who's going to be the head coach? If it's going to be Ben Johnson, would that work? If he goes to the Saints, do you trust him? I don't know who the coach is going to be. Any of these teams, it was probably the perfect storm for Sam Darnold this year, and he made the best of it. You were going to say?
Well, it could be something with San Francisco too, but I know, and then I know the Saints said they're big fans of Carr as well. It gets worse for the Vikings. Less than half an hour ago, Mike Florio, for the past 6 days, talk has been intensifying that the Raiders will hire Ben Johnson. At this point, it's looking like it's the Raiders or he stays in Detroit. I have had multiple people in the last half hour tell me that this guy is socially inept and socially awkward and can't be a leader of men.
He's not great in front of groups.
Another way to put it. Oh, boy.
Well, how many times... Eric Bieniemy still has never had a head coaching gig. And did we not hear forever he doesn't interview well? Like, that's a problem for Eric Bieniemy. And we're sitting back here for years saying, how has Eric Bieniemy never been a head coach in the NFL? Well, evidently he doesn't. So that's a problem for Ben Johnson. Then teams might just say, okay, we're going to pass on you and find somebody else.
What a win for Detroit if this would happen. But now it's like bye-bye Chicago. That's it. It's Detroit or Las Vegas. Las Vegas or he stays.
Yeah. Well,
and that could be, maybe he knows that too. Maybe it's just that there's not everyone it's such a perfect mix where you got Campbell with the in-your-face, great at speeches, biting kneecaps, and the other guy who's just a genius, calm, cool, and collected, and I'm the assassin. I'm looking at my Denny's menu, and we're going to carve you up. And maybe he just knows that. I would be awkward, and I can't get in front of guys and, okay, here's what we're going to do.
You know what? I would not blame him for a second then.
Yeah.
If he doesn't want to be a head coach, there's nothing wrong with that. He's the best play caller in the NFL right now. When he opens it up and goes into the bag of tricks, it's like a joy to watch every single year or every single game that he does that on. And maybe that's the play there. It's a great 1-2 parlay here with Dan the Man. And then this guy just calling plays, and that's it. And they'll give him plenty of money there. And I don't have an issue with that if that's what he wants to do.
Mm-hmm. I would just say, we'll figure it out later. Okay, so you're not a great leader or a guy who gives out great speeches or fire people up. Okay, I'll worry about that later. Let's beat people X's and O's. Because at the end of the day, what does that stuff mean? Sometimes I used to
that's more for like the owner and the GM and the organization because players want that once in a while.
Yeah, but that's where you can have the veteran locker room presence to do that too.
That's real vocal.
And put that on the council, right? But yeah, boy. And I don't know where this guy's going to wind up though either too with Darnold. That's out of all the options that are out there. That's what makes it so tough and why you see 7-12 to 1 on a lot of these teams.
McCarthy is odds on to be the Vikings starter in week 1.
Mm-hmm. Sam
Darnold's plus 110. Any other quarterback would be 7-1. That's globally. You can find that offshore.
Mike's probably right. We're going to have McCarthy when he's ready, and we'll go with Danny Dimes, and I'll make it work.
Yeah, actually, 7-1 might be a decent bet because if they say we're not going to give Darnold any money because we got McCarthy, but he's not going to be ready for week 1, Danny Dimes can go out there and start for week 1.
And unless you're an offensive guru, how do you sell that when you trot that out to the fans? It's like, okay, we're signing Sam Darnold after how the season ended.
I think you're right. The only team that could sell it would be the 49ers.
49ers could sell it.
If they decide to punt on Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
That's the one organization. Any of these other teams, I can't get there.
You can't. You can't do it. Oh, this is wild.
The Dolphins, how would that work with Tyreek Hill?
Oh, that's crazy.
That's not going to go well.
No.
He has a couple of games like, week 18 or the other night, Monday night against the Rams, and Tyreek Hill's going to, no way.
Mm-hmm. All right, the big news, we're back Friday. Sal Pal's on the show, Iron Eagle. Rapid fire with the picks and props. Divisional round. Sirius XM. Get ready, channel 158. Sirius XM app, all the insights, analysis, and picks you need to stay ahead of the game. Mark your calendars this Friday. VSiN debuts, Sirius XM channel 158, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Perfect timing with the hockey, too.
Yeah, we're talking to you, East Coast. Talking to you, New York. We're talking to you, D.C., Philadelphia, Boston, up and down the Eastern Seaboard. Big cities as well, Los Angeles, San Francisco. There you go, on Sirius XM. For those of you who like to drive around quite a bit, and that's what your job is, easy for you. Starting on Friday on channel 158. Matt Youmans on the show coming up in about 20 minutes. His best bets. We'll have our best bets before the end of the show as well here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We got action, NHL. Fast and Furious here, Pauly. You talked about this earlier on. In fact, about an hour ago, we're running down the best teams in hockey, like ROI, first periods, goal in the first 10. What did you have on the Buffalo Sabres?
So now with that goal, 43 seconds into the game, they are 15-2 run at home, goal in the first 10. It's the perfect doubleheader tonight on TNT because the Oilers are the late game and they're 16-2 on the road. Goal in the first 10.
All right, so that's the first half of the pink box parlay that I put in earlier.
Yeah, and 40 seconds in. How about that?
Okay.
We needed this. And overall, again, Detroit 13 of 14, Philly 9 in a row, Seattle 8 in a row, Buffalo now 15-2 at home, Oilers 16-2 on the road, and Flyers on the road 18-4, Rangers at home 16-3. Ian Duncan tweeted it out. I retweeted it as well at Ian Dunks on X. And I also retweeted at Pauly Howard with a Y. So this is great now that we got some juice in hockey, and the Blackhawks have played 11 straight overs in the first period. Quickly, Greg Peterson, VSiN.com. Seton Hall and Butler. The total is 137.5. Greg makes it 127.5.
Okay.
Navy plays Colgate. Colgate's lane 3. Greg makes Navy -2. Samford is playing Mercer. Samford's 5.5. He makes it 11.5. And Indiana State's playing Bradley. Bradley's 8. He makes Bradley 12.5. Found those interesting today up on his write-up, VSiN.com, on a pretty good college basketball card. And we go right back at it with we got with Georgia and Tennessee, right? It's every night in the SEC now where it delivers, and Georgia now ranked. Good.
Email here is ftm@vsin.com. This is from Eric. He says, guys, the 1998 NFC game that the Vikings lost to the Falcons. I'm a lifelong diehard Broncos fan. You're going to know where I'm going to go with this, Pauly, coming up here in a second. As soon as the Falcons beat the Vikings, I recall celebrating the Broncos going back-to-back, even though the Broncos had yet to play and beat the Jets in the AFC title game and make the Super Bowl. Funny story, Alfred Williams on that Broncos team told Mike Pritchard and I one time that as soon as the Falcons beat the Vikings, they knew that they had won the Super Bowl. And they had not played the Jets yet.
Yeah.
They were celebrating in Denver. The Vikings were an absolute. You ran it all down. They were a machine. Best offense in the history. Nobody could stop Randy Moss.
Nope.
Cunningham was the MVP. So we have hypothetical numbers here in the NFL. All right, so beyond this week, we're talking about Championship Sunday. We'll begin in the AFC. The Chiefs are about a 1.5-point favorite against Baltimore at home at Arrowhead. The Chiefs are the same number currently. These are at FanDuel against the Bills. And when you look at DraftKings, the Chiefs are 1.5 against the Ravens, 2.5 against the Bills. What do you make of those numbers?
Well, what I make of it is the Chiefs are going to be underdogs in the Super Bowl. There's a good chance that happens. And again, the disrespect to the Chiefs continues. And how do you go against Mahomes in a big game? And you're going to be hearing it nonstop if that's the case that they're an underdog for 2 weeks in the Super Bowl. So only 1.5 at home in the AFC title game when you got to play almost perfect football to beat them. And then if they win, because you see Philly is only a 2.5-point dog at Detroit. And what that number would be then in the Super Bowl. Because also, furthermore, this is at DraftKings, Baltimore is 9.5 look ahead against Houston. The Bills are 8.5 look ahead against Houston. So they're telling you like they just what they think of this Baltimore team, and now they're favored in Buffalo, that even the Texans wouldn't get a big boost by beating the Chiefs. That still they would be an enormous dog to Baltimore in the AFC title game.
Right. And the Chiefs would be an underdog to the Bills or the Ravens on a neutral field.
You're right.
And now
I would assume Lions and probably Philly, or it would be close too, right?
I think they might be a very small dog against Detroit. And I guess maybe the same if you're telling me that Detroit is 2.5 at home against Philadelphia, or might be a pick 'em against Philadelphia.
Well, their power ratings are high, no doubt.
I actually, if you just consider this year's numbers, I do agree with that. But I think to your point, like how much do you factor in more than just this year? Is that a factor at all in how you handicap this game? And I'm talking about Patrick Mahomes at home in the playoffs with his history.
Right, has to. Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes in a big game going for the three-peat, and that they're getting everyone back and they're healthy now. That's another angle. So the first meeting, the line was 4. Went off 4, and the Chiefs won and covered. And then you lost Dell in that game. It was a weird game because everyone's getting emotional and they had to be carted off. And then they had that horrible performance on Christmas where they got routed 31-2.
Yeah.
But then they a lot of help from Herbert, but they played a good second half and took out the Chargers. But now we're seeing this up to 8 now. But again, this guy's never lost a divisional game in the divisional round, and he's never even turned the ball over in the 6 games. So it just comes back to he's not going to beat himself. They're not going to beat himself. You're going to have to be MVP on steroids, Allen and Jackson. And maybe it's just a Henry game that they can't stop Henry either. And I know what Likely said after the week 1 meeting to open the season, that was our D- game and we should have beat you.
Yeah.
So good luck in the rematch, which I would love to see. But it's just, you asked me earlier, I would have absolutely Kansas City against Detroit, Kansas City against Philadelphia, Kansas City against Buffalo. The only one I pause is Baltimore. But I'm at home, though. So, like we talked about with Gannon, he knows what it's like in that hostile environment with an unbelievable home edge that they're going to come out of there with the W.
Have you bet any Super Bowl exactas lately or anything like that?
No, I don't want to screw anything up because it's if the 2 home teams win Saturday, it's perfect. We're going to get great matchups throughout the rest of the way. Maybe you could say from a selfish standpoint and being a talk show host that you could do something with Washington or the Rams or whatever, but that's... Yeah. But I like I said yesterday, this thing's six teams can win the Super Bowl, though. We'll see war of attrition, who gets out of there healthy, whatever. But you can make the case that 6 teams can win the Super Bowl, I think.
Yeah, I want to know how much people would adjust Houston's power rating number if they win this weekend in Kansas City. Because I get it, you're knocking off an 8-point favorite but I think you also have to factor in a little bit of going there and beating Mahomes and Reed. I think you have to do that because, again, Burrow did it, and they were down big time at halftime. And if Tyreek Hill doesn't have that blunder before halftime,
that was stupid.
I think that game's over with.
Well, he never touched the ball in overtime against Brady, though.
And that's the thing. If they win the coin toss, maybe they go down and win. So it's like Brady and Burrow fluky outcomes. That's it. So if Houston were to go there and win this weekend and knock off the King, okay, I don't know. Then can they do it 3 straight games?
Right. Are you it hasn't been done for a reason guy? No three-peat. Montana couldn't do it.
No,
that's
I can't get there because even if they don't, I'm not going to say that because I do think like Baltimore is absolutely awesome. So is Buffalo, and I think the Lions and Eagles are right there with all of them in the NFC. So what are we going to say about Mahomes and Reed if they do this again, and they become the first team ever to three-peat, and they go through the Bills or the Broncos combined with the Lions or the Eagles? Like, that path is nuts. And they were not, like, how many people said this year, they're not very good? I'll raise my hand. I'm one of probably millions who said that.
Yep. But Jones back, Taylor back, Pacheco back, Watson back, Hollywood back.
I brought this up on the air before the playoffs started. I did play both ways. I played Baltimore and Philadelphia in a Super Bowl exacta. One paid 26-1, the other one paid 28-1.
Those are good.
I think there's a path there. Mm-hmm. I mean, are you going to be? I will not be surprised for a second if we get Philadelphia, Detroit, and Philadelphia goes there and wins. That won't surprise me. Philadelphia's awesome. I have some concerns here about Jalen Hurts. I think you have to in the passing game.
How about that total? Detroit, Philly would be 51. I don't know how that would play out.
I would lean under in that game.
Yeah, because you're chewing clock with Barkley. Run.
Yeah. All right, we have a G-Bank bet of the day here, then hypothetical matchups. You want to go Chiefs in any of those?
All right, yeah. Chiefs 1.5 against the Bills. Chiefs 1.5 against Baltimore.
There you go. There's
available at DK and FanDuel. Brought to you by G-Bank, official bank of VSiN. If you're serious about sports betting, need the G-Bank Visa Signature Card. Most credit cards treat sports books and gaming transactions as cash advances, even when you put your own money on the card. G-Bank treats gaming transactions as purchases, so you're typically saving up to 3 to 5% on cash advance fees right there. Right now, limited time, $250 bonus after you spend $1,000 in the first 90 days. Apply now, VSiN.com/G-Bank. VSiN.com/G-Bank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply.
What's the worst possible Super Bowl right now? Rams-Texans?
Yeah.
Like, because if the Commanders were to get there and shock the world, I mean, they're super exciting.
Yeah. Washington's exciting, but still it's bad. A 6th seed, and that's...
Yeah, but they have 13 wins.
I know, but it's think about who you're taking out, though. You're removing Philly. You're removing Detroit. You're removing the Rams story. Rams-Texans.
Matt Youmans on the program next. He has best bets in the NFL and college basketball for tonight.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Get some best bets here as VSiN host Matt Youmans joins the program now. He's on prime time following us. Not tonight. He's off on Wednesdays, but the other 4 days during the week. He's on the Progressive Guest Line. Matt, good to talk to you. Let's begin in the NFL. When you look at the betting board for the divisional round, we have some teasable options here with us. How do you want to approach that?
Mitch, and by the way, I will be in tonight. In fact, I'm driving into Circa right now, so I have been working some Wednesdays lately. You never know with the schedule of VSiN how it changes over the holiday season. But, Tim Murray, I'll be in with Tim tonight, and obviously pretty heavy college hoops and NFL show. But I was on with Dave Ross Monday morning and Tuesday morning, talking about I thought the best teaser on the board for the NFL. At that time, Circa had the Lions at 8.5. And that was true Monday night when I left the studio. And I played the Chiefs -2, Lions -2.5. And, you can make a case for the dogs in this round, but I'm not going to make a case for the dogs winning outright in this round. I don't see the Texans going to KC and winning. I don't think the Commanders are going to Detroit and winning. And I really like the way the Detroit defense played in Week 18 against the Vikings, obviously. And Sam Darnold has been fully exposed in the past couple games, but the Detroit defense, which has been obviously weakened by attrition and a lot of injuries, looked a lot better in Week 18 with Alex Anzalone, the linebacker, back on the field. So I really can't see the Lions dropping that game. I can't see the Chiefs dropping this game. I do see KC losing probably the next week, but I'm not going to bet on that this week. So I thought KC -2, Detroit -2.5 was the best teaser on the board. If you missed the opener on the Ravens when they were +1, you could have teased that up to +7 or 7.5. That would have been a great play. I'm not going to tease the Ravens now at -1. So that's the way I played it. And I don't know if you asked about the Rams game, but I did play the Rams +6 at Philadelphia, and it was on the Rams against the Vikings on Monday night. But you know what? The Rams offense wasn't really dynamic, didn't create a lot of explosive plays against the Vikings on Monday night. Did enough in the first half to kind of build a big lead and just sit on it. But the Rams totaled 292 yards. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp only had combined for 6 catches for 73 yards in that game. And I think this Rams offense is capable of a lot more. Now, the Philadelphia defense put together by Vic Fangio has been outstanding. And I think the weakness of the Eagles, when you look at them right now, it's got to be the pass game because Jalen Hurts as receiver is not on the same page. The first time these teams met, that was, I believe, in Week 8 in L.A. Or it might have been Week 12. Yeah, it was Week 12. The Eagles won 37-20. In that game, Saquon Barkley ran for 255 yards. He had 70 and 72-yard TD runs. I think this is going to be a much different game. And the reason is, if you look at the Rams defense and the season-long stats, I think that's somewhat deceptive. I like to look at the stats over the past, let's say, 8 games or so. And this Rams defense has improved dramatically, led by Jared Verse, the rookie, who's an absolute stud. In the last 4 games, Rams defense has allowed, if you throw out Week 18, when they didn't play many of the starters, let's throw out Week 18. The last 4 games, the Rams have allowed 9, 9, 9, and 6 points. I think they're going to be in this game. I don't like the forecast for wintry weather in Philadelphia. Obviously, this weekend's not a great thing for the Rams, but I think this team's dangerous, and I am going to play the Rams. I have played the Rams +6 at Philly.
All right, excellent. How about hoops in the big one, Iowa State against Kansas? We talked about the 14-1 underrun with the Jayhawks. What do you think Iowa State laying 5.5, 6 in this game?
That's crazy, isn't it? I talked about that with Tim Murray on the Saturday morning pregame show. I said, look at this Kansas trend of 13-1 under the total. And Kansas that day beat Cincinnati 54-40 on the road. So I'm not playing this as a straight-up Kansas +5.5 play, even though I do have a bet on the Jayhawks +5.5. I'm also playing a half unit on that, a half unit under the total of 143.5. And also putting, just as insurance a little bit, I'm putting Iowa State on a money line parlay, and I'll tell you which team I'm going to pair Iowa State up with here in a minute. But Mitch, I don't know about you, but I've been really surprised that A.J. Storr has not made a bigger impact on this Kansas team. He was what's that?
I'm stunned.
Yeah, I know. He was such a stud at Wisconsin. He looked like an NBA. He looked like he was NBA ready. He goes into Bill Self's offense. He's almost disappeared. 18 minutes, about 7 points per game, 33% from 3 the Kansas team is shooting. And there are a lot of offensive deficiencies with the Jayhawks. I thought A.J. Storr was going to make this offense a lot more dynamic. It hasn't happened. I don't think this is one of Bill Self's best coaching jobs. That said, Kansas 12-3, losses on the road at Creighton and Missouri. Those aren't bad losses. Did have a bad 1-point home loss to West Virginia. But this Kansas team's still loaded with talent, including guys like A.J. Storr, who need to break out at some point this season. And when you look at Iowa State tonight, the Cyclones have played a relatively weak schedule. Now, I was in Maui when they were up big, I think up 16 on Auburn in the first half, and then ended up losing that game. Tigers stormed back to win it. Aside from Auburn, I don't think Iowa State's played an especially difficult schedule to this point. The Cyclones are off a 1-point overtime win on the road at Texas Tech. And a big part, what could end up being a big factor tonight, Milan Momcilovic, the 6'8" forward, averaging over 10 points a game, shooting 44% from 3, playing 25 minutes per game. He's out with an injury. That's a key guy in the Iowa State rotation who's out tonight, and a guy who would also, you would think, help the Cyclones tremendously on the offensive end of the floor. So I went half unit Kansas +5.5, half unit on the under, because Kansas got under in 14 to 15 games, like Paul mentioned, and also going to play, this is insurance, Iowa State on a money line parlay with another favorite later tonight.
All right, very good. You went to Purdue. You're a big Big Ten basketball guy overall, and welcome to the league, Washington. But Purdue's on the road taking on the Huskies tonight. Washington they're not a good basketball team, but they're catching 7.5 here at home against your Boilermakers. Is that number too big in your opinion?
I think it is. I mean, the number 4. I was surprised to see 7.5. I've been watching the betting market since last night. I've never seen an 8 or never seen a 7 pop up. Maybe it has in the last 15 minutes. This number has not budged off 7.5, which is rare. Typically, you see numbers move around a little bit. I have it at 4. Now, the last time the Huskies were at home, a 2-game homestand, they beat Maryland and they lost to Illinois by 4. And those are 2 pretty good opponents, 2 comparable opponents to Purdue. Since Purdue was blown out by Auburn on the road, Boilers have won 5 in a row, each of the wins by 18 points or more. And I think that's why Purdue's power rating is a little bit stronger now. And Purdue's got a little bit more respect in the betting market. But at the same time, those are against some of the weakest teams in the Big Ten. And when you go on the road in a situation like this, laying 7.5, that's a big number. If you do watch this game tonight, 2 players to watch be Great Osibor, the transfer from Utah State. He's a stud big man. He's going to go head-to-head with Trey Kopp and Wren down low. Osibor had 23 and 11 in that 16-point loss at Michigan on Sunday. Braden Smith, the Purdue point guard, definitely one of the best point guards in the country. He's a really fun player to watch if you happen to catch this game tonight. But Washington's got wins over Colorado State, Washington State, Maryland. Yeah, I know the Huskies got some poor performances too, but I see no reason they can't hang around late in this game tonight. And I think this number is a little bit too high, so I took the 7.5.
How about the late game out here? Utah State 5.5 against the Rebels. Utah State having a great year, only 1 loss, and they off the close call needed the 4-point play to beat Boise.
Yeah, how wild was that 4-point play? Because I was on Boise in that game plus 5.5, and it looked like Boise was going to win the game straight up.
Yeah,
I'm just not convinced this Utah State team's as good as its record. But the Aggies did go on the road, and they beat St. Mary's, San Diego State, and Nevada back-to-back. So you got to give this team a lot of credit for that. So I mentioned that I played Iowa State on the money line parlay. I paired it up with Utah State. Utah State, Iowa State is what I paired it up with tonight. I bet against the Rebels twice last week. JVT and I were talking about this. I said, this UNLV team's going to get exposed when it goes on the road. Rebels went on the road to Boise, Colorado State back-to-back, and they were blown out by 22 points each time. This is not a good UNLV team. Kevin Kruger can't figure it out. I think Utah State comes in and gets the win, but I didn't feel comfortable laying the 5.5. So I just money line parlayed it with Iowa State.
All right, and then quickly here, classic SEC matchup, Texas playing at Oklahoma. You like the home team here?
How about Oklahoma last week at this time, up 18 points in the second half on Texas A&M and blew the game. Sooners have lost 3 in a row. I think Porter Moser is going to get this team back on track tonight. The Longhorns have also dropped 3 in a row. They've obviously played 3 of the best teams in the SEC. Oklahoma is 13-0 before this 3-game losing streak. Top 3 scorers for the Sooners all shoot 84% or better from the free throw line, which could be important late in this game. So I did play the Sooners short home favorites tonight.
There you go. Follow Matt on X. He is at Matt Youmans 24/7 on the show. VSiN PrimeTime following us tonight with Tim Murray. Thanks, Matt. Have a good night tonight.
Okay, you bet. You too. Thanks.
Bojangles next week.
Yeah, what's the date today? In 5 days
Monday.
It opens here.
It's Monday.
Opening. Looks great. I got to be honest. I've never been there. The chicken looks phenomenal. So we will go over our best bets coming up. Pauly, you are going to be stunned when I show you some first half numbers against this defense so far on the year. That's next.
To determine the winner of any given college basketball game.
Someone gives you 10,000 to 1 on anything. You take it. Take it. Take it.
I bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way. I'll give you 3 to 1 odds. Nope. 5 to 1. Nope. 10 to 1. You're right.
All right. Winner last night with Denver against Dallas. They blew them out. You mentioned it, Mitch. Murray was great. Now they have the back-to-back tonight against Houston. Tough game. Tough card. A lot of injuries and a lot of back-to-backs. Tomorrow, OKC lane 3 against the Cavs. Hartenstein's out.
Is that the overnight number?
Yeah, but that's I got to take it. based on how the first game played out, and that you want to say, yeah, Mitchell was 3-11, but they still won. I don't think all the sporting cast going to do it on the road and against this defense and the sick run they've had, ATS. I got to take the Thunder at home and getting revenge. Props are up again. Right back on the horse here. Every team this round, this weekend, have a rushing touchdown, 20-1. I got a lot of great candidates. I got a lot of great running backs and good teams. And could be some high-scoring games. Every team to make a field goal plus 250. And every team touchdown and a field goal 5-1. With some props that are out there as we get ready for the divisional round. And it was just a weird, wonky week. Good kickers. Stars were out. Good teams. But no 300-yard passer. Still can't believe we didn't have a field goal out of Tucker or Boswell. Denver scores right down the field. Nothing the rest of the game. Lutz misses from 50. The props were a disaster. Hardly anybody went over their props. Otten did nothing. McMillan did nothing. Now, Henry had the big game. Collins and McConkey, but not much to speak of as far as props and guys going off. And yes, Barkley, you got lucky with Barkley because he had 98 yards going into the final drive because Love throws the pick or that stays under. So a lot of guys didn't do anything in this past weekend.
Bad night for me last night. Bloodbath at the Moss household. Anthony Simons over 3.5. 4 minutes in the first quarter, wasn't taking shots. Doesn't help when Scoot Henderson in the first half had 25 points. He was 9 of 10 from the floor, and he made 6 threes. That tied for his career high for threes ever in a game, and he had it at halftime. So Simons had been red hot, no good. Russell Westbrook, because of Murray, did nothing. I had 10-plus points, 5-plus rebounds, 5-plus assists, paid 37 cents a juice on that one. He was trending in such a great direction. No, loser there as well. Pending Ravens plus 106 against the Bills. Ohio State plus 115 to win the national title game. Here's what we have tonight. Jalen Green riding this over 3.5 threes tonight in the game, plus 130 against Denver. Has great numbers last 6 games where he's taking a ton of threes and he's making 49% of them, hitting about 5 per game. And Anthony Edwards, same thing. High percentage, ton of attempts, over 3.5 plus 105. Let's get back on the wagon tonight with a couple of winners there. I wanted to bet this, and Matt Youmans convinced me here. I was thinking about these two bets the entire day. Mm-hmm. And then the Iowa State kid ruled out tonight. Kansas plus 5.5. I'm doing the exact same thing. Splitting a unit there, and I'm going to go Kansas, Iowa State under 143.5 or a half a unit as well.
All right. We're getting ready for Big Game 59 with a big deal to match. Save $59 off the VSiN Pro annual subscription when you sign up using promo code FTM. Every best bet, every host, every guest, the betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, the dog videos. VSiN.com/subscribe, promo code FTM. $59 off the VSiN Pro annual subscription today. You get lost with everything that's up there. Peterson on hoops, Burke on hoops, Cohen on NBA, Mackin with the betting systems, the stuff today about the traits and trends of every title winner in college basketball, and then his betting systems for the divisional round. It's all up there. Nigel on soccer as well. Jonathan Davis on hockey with a ton of picks, even though there's 2 games. VSiN.com/subscribe.
I will say this in the Knicks-Sixers game tipping off here in a little bit. There's no Towns tonight. He was ruled out. But the 76ers have both Maxey and George in this game tonight. Total came down to 218.5. Good point and a half after the news was released a little earlier. I'll show you this. There's a college basketball game tonight as well. The Houston Cougars are in action, and Captain Obvious here, but they have one of the best defenses in college basketball yet again, and they make it extremely difficult for teams to score on them, like on every single possession. Mm-hmm. That's been the MO for the team under Kelvin Sampson. Here is what it's looked like, Pauly, for opponents in the first half, because they suffocate these teams in the first half. Going all the way back to November 30th, San Diego State, good program, good team. They scored 25 points in the first half. Butler scored 18 against Houston. Troy had 11. Toledo had 22. Texas A&M Corpus Christi, the high watermark here in this run, they scored 27. Now we get into Big 12 play. Oklahoma State, December 1st. They scored 18 points in the first half. BYU scored 22. TCU scored 22. Kansas State scored 24 in the first half. That's it.
This is great.
Tonight, West Virginia, their first half team total.
Aren't they ranked?
West Virginia.
Good team.
I think they're on the outs.
Okay, close, but they have some good wins.
You can't find this at legalized books. DraftKings has it. I don't know where else it is. It's 24.5 tonight for West Virginia in their first half team total. Under is minus 130.
Oh, wow.
It's 53.5 for the game.
That's great.
But like I track their games. I'm like, it's another 7-minute scoring drought for the opponent. This is nuts. I've only played one game. I played BYU, their team total under in that game, and it was a winner.
Excellent. Need your feedback? What's the go-to at Bojangles? We get our first Bojangles Monday. What do we got? What do you recommend at Bojangles? Finally, we get it in Las Vegas. Still sitting here like patients on a monument for Portillo's. Enough already. But that comes Monday. Go ahead.
This is from Chris. He lives in South Carolina. He has 2 within 2 miles of his house. He says the go-to, which sounds delicious, is the Cajun filet biscuit. And he says you get it medium slick with the buttered biscuit. Medium slick. So you have to go there. They have their own lingo that they have that you have to order.
Slick.
I'm already a big fan of this. He said skip the Bojangler fish.
Okay.
Don't know what that is, but noted for sure.
All right. Keep them coming. Also, what do I do? My son, Beagle, Jordan, who's 10 in May, I got to take him back to the vet. He got an infection on his face, and they gave me cream and pills, and it's worse. The pills are gone. The cream's gone. I got to take him back tomorrow. It got worse. I'm in $400 already.
Is that photo that you showed me, is that a recent photo, or was that before?
That's recent.
Yeah, okay.
But it's got worse since then.
Okay, well, that photo doesn't look awful. I wouldn't be alarmed, but I mean, you might be stuck for another $400 or $500 tonight. I can't believe this stuff.
You can't. Yeah, but you can't give me $400 worth of meds and they don't work and stuff gets worse.
That I agree with.
Whether
for
it's
sure.
allergies or whatever. You did the skin graft. You went through it. It's never happened in 9 years. He's got something on his face. It's getting worse. Losing the fur. What's going on? That's your job.
Maybe take him to a different vet.
That's the next step. But come on.
I had to take
$400.
Look, I mean, I had to take Frankie in for a routine shot 2 weeks ago, and he has insurance. And they come out, okay, that'll be $363 tonight. I'm like, wait a second. What? That's not, is any of it covered? Why do I have insurance
What
then?
was the answer?
Oh, there's him and Haw, and they dance around it for a while, and they say like vet words that I'm not going to recognize. They're throwing out stuff. I'm like, okay, I guess that makes sense. I also don't want to be a bad guy because there's people behind me, so I don't want to fight them on it, and I'll just move on. So, because I hate that person when they argue about everything, and you get in a line behind them, and you're not moving, you're there for an hour, so I don't want to be that person. I just sit there and I take it, like Jim Carrey in Liar, Liar, when he's at the junkyard and they show up with a big scratch on his car. So 363 she comes out. He has to have the shot like every 6 months. It's like for allergies, whatever.
Yeah,
come on.
The shot's $40. To be seen is $40.
Yeah, what's the markup on something like that?
Come on. He had to get his nail trimmed. That's $30 for a nail trim? Come on, it takes 2 seconds.
It's outrageous. It's extortion. We're getting robbed by these people.
I know, but come on. You didn't fix it the first time. Now I got to come back.
No, that's an issue there.
No way. Come on. A small tribute to Cookie Jar tomorrow.
Oh, okay. We forgot to do that today.
Yeah, well, I wanted to get the picture up and everything, so that's another one too. Yeah. I know we both retweeted it. I came to town at the same time you did, and I'd always go to Harrah's Carnival Court.
Fantastic.
And he was a lounge legend. Loved Philly, loved football from Philly, loved to bet. Had a tanning bed in his house. Oh, this guy was great.
He looked
come
like
out and play the hits. And
see him in December. You're like, where have you been?
No kidding. Yep.
Oh,
he was
my
awesome.
tanning bed.
And then he would come on the air, and you had to beat the jar, it was called, and give out picks against him. He'd give out 3 plays, and you had to beat him. And he was great, and he passed away.
Yeah, funny dude.
Oh, yeah.
Super entertaining.
He always used to say, come out there, hey, you can come up near the stage and say hi, but don't stay out of the way of the tip jar. You can buy my CDs and come. What's a tip jar? And I remember there was this great Italian restaurant for years called Capozzoli's. Oh, the bread and the sandwich and the ziti. And it burned to the ground. And these were respected guys in Detroit. And on the air, Cookie Jar said, it looks suspicious. It looks suspicious. Oh, my God.
Well, he's a longtime Las Vegas guy, so he goes back certain days.
Oh, I miss that guy. He was a riot. I know Crack knew him, too. That's too bad.
Yeah. Primetime is next. Murray Youmans. After that, Joe Serralo has cashing out in the morning. Dave Ross, VSiN by the books. Good luck tonight.